Welcome to State and Fig, located in historic La Arcada Plaza in downtown Santa Barbara.
Our menu focuses on products that are raised in the state of California, inspired by the flavors of the Riviera.
And we are proud to be sponsoring this program.
Hello, I'm Twyla Kim. I've been an artist and hairstylist in Santa Barbara for 20 years. I personalize color, design, and precision haircuts for each individual at Sequel Salon in Montecito. I'm happy to be sponsoring Get Conscious Now.
I'm attorney Gregory Lowe. I will prepare your trust, bankruptcy, divorce, conservatorship, probate, evictions. All of this I can do at an affordable price and with caring. Thank you very much.
When I was growing up as a kid, I used to go around with him and watch him.
My mother and I both worked at Lowry Field.
To keep on doing this together.
Hi, I'm Patricia Diorio, and this is Get Conscious Now, the TV show that informs, inspires, and reminds us of our true nature as spiritual beings having a human experience, energy beings in physical form. The show is also about helping us understand our innate and immeasurable power to create our reality. In fact, quantum physics tells us that we're creating it all the time. If we're aware that we're creating it, hopefully we're creating a life that we love. If we're not aware, then we're on that slippery slope to being a victim of our own negative thinking. So this show is about what it means to shift our own personal paradigm, to go from unconscious creators to deliberate creators of our reality and creating a life that is truly a reflection of our greatest heart's desires. Now it's time for us to meet my co-host, Stu Zimmerman, bright, witty, and very entertaining, and always with some inspirational words to welcome you. Stu?
Oh, Patricia, sweetheart, thank you once again.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Welcome, everybody. I'm inviting you to really consider right now, we're talking about consciousness. We're talking about the possibility of experiencing something so amazing, so incredible, so juicy, so peaceful, so loving in all of it. And do it with a sense of awareness. And what really helps us sometimes, and we've done this to actually start our program before the camera started rolling, was to simply take a deep breath. So I'm inviting you all right now, and I know you know how to do it, to come and take a deep breath with us and be part of our interconnected, conscious, energetic field that we're in. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, okay. So here we are. If you haven't seen all of our shows yet, you get a chance to. Search Get Conscious Now on YouTube and you'll find us. And in this particular program, it's going to be an amazing one. So get riveted, stay tuned, put it on pause if you need to grab a snack, and bring it in because we're bringing it in today. And with that, I'm going to pass it right back to Patricia. And we have an amazing program with Stu's views and quantum quotes and the one and only Patricia.
Thank you, Stu. Always inspiring. This show is about conscious aging and health. And I consider it a milestone in the 12 years that I've been doing television publicly because my guest is a man that I have revered and admired for over 30 years. He's been my go-to spiritual teacher. And he is Dr. Deepak Chopra, renowned spiritual teacher and body-mind expert, helping people to understand who they truly are, understand themselves as spiritual beings, having this human experience. I first had the pleasure of hearing Deepak Chopra speak in Boston, in a ballroom in Boston, in the early 80s. And as soon as he opened his mouth and started to share, I knew that he had important information to impart. And he was the man that I heard first, this statement, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And that literally changed my life forever, personally and professionally. Now, his credentials and his accolades and achievements would, if I told you them, they would take up our whole hour. But I will give you some high points. He is the author of 65 books, ebooks, and audiobooks. And he is also the founder of the Chopra Health Center in San Diego. As well, he is considered an expert in melding quantum physics, the modern theories of quantum physics, with the timeless wisdom of the ancient cultures. As a physician, he's been principal in bringing integrated medicine forth and a medical system that is based on the premise that health is really a state of balance and the integration of body, mind, spirit. So tonight we're going to talk about conscious aging, a topic that's important for everyone, but particularly for those of us baby boomers in the audience. So it's going to be a fabulous show. Stay tuned, and if I were you, I would take notes.
Thank you
It's
so much.
wonderful
Welcome.
for being here.
Welcome, welcome. Yes, I've only admired you for 20 years. I was a little late to the party, but the 7 spiritual laws of success really helped me so much in my business and moving forward in that to this moment. So thank you so much. Truly a pleasure. We are talking about conscious aging and longevity today. So you are a medical doctor as well as a scientist. Can you explain to us the actual nature of our physical reality?
What we experience as physical reality is actually qualities of consciousness itself. So we don't experience matter as such. We experience sounds, tastes, smells, solidity, texture, thoughts, emotions, feelings, desires, memories, imagination. When we lump it all together, it expresses itself as both our mental and our physical world. Our perception of the world is actually a perception of the qualities of our own awareness. So as we delve deeper into the nature of so-called physical reality, we realize that it's not physical. This table is made up of atoms. The atoms are subatomic particles that are whirling at lightning speeds around huge empty spaces. And when we go beyond that subatomic cloud, we end up with nothing. So the essential nature of the physical world is that it's not physical. The essential stuff of the universe is that it's non-stuff. Mm-hmm. The essential nature of the material world is that it's not material. And this is not metaphysical, philosophical speculation. This is the basis of our science and technology. People are watching us at home right now. They're having an experience. They're seeing you and me and all these colors, hearing all these sounds. But what's going from there to their homes is photons, electromagnetic perturbations that are totally invisible. They're going through these walls. They're going through satellite dishes, bumping off satellites in outer space, entering cable channels underneath the ground or even sometimes in the ocean. And then photons are hitting their eyes, and voila, they're seeing a 3-dimensional reality in space and time. So
it seems so real.
Yeah, but the reality is actually, the real reality is space, the one in which we are now. Mm-hmm. And every cubic centimeter of it has more energy than is needed to create the universe several times over. Wow. So this field that we're in is the Akashic field. Uh-huh. It's called Chit Akash. Chit means consciousness, and Akash means the infinite space-time continuum. Your consciousness is not in your brain or in your body. Your body and your brain are in consciousness, as is the whole universe.
So this is really an optical delusion of consciousness, isn't it?
Yeah, this is a perceptual artifact. And, you know, reality is different in different states of consciousness. Reality is different when you're sleeping, when you're dreaming, when you're in so-called waking state of consciousness. There are other states of consciousness: soul consciousness, cosmic consciousness, God consciousness, unity consciousness. The Yoga Vashishta, which is an ancient Vedic text, says infinite worlds come and go in the vast expanse of consciousness. They're like motes of dust dancing in a beam of light. So now the latest theories in cosmology are multiverse theories. That there are 4 levels of multiple universes. A parallel universe, which is just a little bit, on a different space-time continuum. There are universes that are splitting off with every subject-object split. And then there are other universes beyond your imagination.
Beautiful answer. Wow. So you're considered a body-mind expert. Would you please explain the connection between our body and our mind and why it's so important for our health to understand this?
Our mind is a subjective experience of consciousness, and our body is the objective experience of consciousness. They're the same thing, actually. Wherever a thought goes, a molecule goes with it. And your body is actually your subconscious mind, your entire body. And every cell is communicating with every other cell. And besides that, it's communicating with the larger ecosystem of life and also with the rhythms of the cosmos. And this is a result of everything inseparably correlating with everything else. So synchronicity. You have to ask yourself, how does a human body think thoughts, play a piano, kill germs, remove toxins, and make a baby all at the same time? And whilst it's doing that, it tracks the movements of stars and planets, because your biological rhythms, circadian rhythms and other rhythms, are the symphony of the whole cosmos. You dance to cosmic music, even though you can't name the tune.
So how important is it for us or our viewers to be aware of this nature of our reality and the interconnectedness between our bodies and minds in terms of their longevity and health?
Well, when you're resting in pure consciousness, in your ground state, which is beyond subject-object split, in that domain of awareness, there is no time. Past, present, and future are the result of a relationship that's created when pure consciousness splits into an observer and an observed. But when you transcend the subject-object split, there is no time. And aging, in a sense, is the metabolism of time. So, again, wisdom traditions say, time is the consumer and we are its food. So when you get caught up in time-bound awareness, that speeds up your biological clock. If you're the kind of person who's saying, I have no time, I'm running out of time, I have too many deadlines, then your biological clock will speed up, your heart rate will speed up, your blood pressure will go up, your platelets will get jittery and huddle together with high levels of adrenaline. And if you suddenly drop dead of a premature heart attack, then you have literally run out of time. So
you're kind of scaring me. That's exactly how I felt coming into this program. My heart rate was going up a little bit. I'm not sure what my platelets were doing, but hopefully it didn't shorten my lifespan too much.
For that little bit, it did. You lost a few seconds of time there. So,
it was worth it.
Well, I must have lost a lot of seconds then.
So the state of our awareness ultimately is a state of flow. It's called lightness of being, where there is no anticipation of response, there is no burden of memory, and then you're in the timeless domain of universal consciousness. That's the domain where there's no entropy. So today, those of us who look at aging as a phenomenon, we see there are 3 types of aging. There's chronological age, which is what your age is on your birth certificate. You're born such and such date, etc. Then there's psychological age, how do you feel? And then there's biological age. So biological age is measured through things like blood pressure, bone density, skin thickness, number of wrinkles, immune function, hormone levels, sexual activity or sex hormone levels, fat content, cholesterol, HDL ratios, muscle mass, strength of muscles, hearing, all of those things are the biological markers of aging. Now, today we have even better markers of aging than the ones I mentioned. These are enzymes in your blood, such as telomerase, which influence the length of telomeres, which are like little extensions of your chromosomes. As we get older, the telomeres shrink, and when they get to a certain length, shorten to a certain length, that is cellular death, because the cells can't replicate anymore. There are other biomarkers of aging at a cellular level, enzymes that influence inflammation or influence heart health or brain health or homeostasis or self-regulation. So today we can quantify biological age through various measurements, and it's very clear that your biological age does not have to represent your chronological age. If you're physically, emotionally, spiritually burnt out, you're 40 chronologically, your biological age could be 60 or 70. On the other hand, if you're spiritually, emotionally in balance and physically active and restfully alert in your mind and in the flow state, then you could be 80, but your biological age could be 40 or 50. So, in fact, we now know that many of these biological markers of aging are not only stoppable for a certain period of time, but reversible.
Reversible.
Yeah. That's great news.
So you keep reversing till you disappear into an orgasm.
The way we came in, you mean?
Well, it's interesting because I heard a woman lecture not long ago about the new middle age and the new old age.
That's true.
And she was a social scientist that had done statistical studies all over the world. And her final statement was that the new middle age is between 60 and 80.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, and then after that, old age. And I think that when you interviewed baby boomers, I remember reading this and hearing it in one of your tapes, as to what they considered to be the start of old age. I believe the baby boomers said 85.
Right. Well, I still don't know what middle age is because I haven't yet entered it.
I'm with you.
I'll tell you when I get there.
Okay, fair enough. In fact, I'm happy to have the redefinition of middle age, just to be 5 years past whatever I am, chronologically, if at all possible.
No, we're talking about stress and time and all, and it's just amazing to me that we don't really need to have a stressful event happen. We just have to think about the stressful event, and it affects our body chemically. Isn't this so?
Yeah, you have to first define what is stress. And I think the best definition of stress is that it's the perception or interpretation of physical or psychological threat. So stress is not in the environment, and stress is also not in you. Stress is how you perceive what's happening around you. So think of surfing on the ocean. If you're a skillful surfer, then every wave is exhilaration. If you're not prepared, then every wave is a disaster. So stress by itself is basically an interpretation in consciousness. And once you recognize that, then you see that there are many ways of reinterpreting what's happening to you. There's also many ways of going beyond the experience, like you just did a breathing exercise that immediately takes you away from the world of imagination, because stress isn't imagination, it's either about the past or the future. Okay, so it immediately brings you to the present, observing your breath, observing the sensations in your body, meditation, music, dance, ballet, sleep, sex, music, poetry, breathing. These are all ways to very effectively manage stress. In most wisdom cultures, there's no such word as stress. There's either ignorance or there's enlightenment, period. Okay?
We can put that in the ignorance category then.
Yes.
Yeah, so as you mentioned myriad ways, it sounds like for people to manage stress, and to the extent we release stress, we have a better chance of longevity and a otherwise healthy life.
Yeah, there are many ways to increase longevity. So first is you change your perception of the meaning of aging. You know, because in cultures where people have the belief that as you age, you get better in every way. You're more wise, you take your time, everything is more, has full-bodied flavor, like a good wine, okay? Wines get better with age, right? So you should get better with age.
As does cheese.
So that's one. Second is you change the interpretation of your body. Instead of thinking of your body as an anatomical structure, you look at it as, you said earlier, an energy and information field. So you change your perception of aging, you change your perception of the physical body as an energy and an information field. The third is you change your perception of time. When you have a relationship with time that's grounded in the present moment, then you're not metabolizing time into the aging process. That's the first thing you do. The second thing is, which is very important now, is nutrition. You know, the more your diet is rich in phytochemicals that come from the energy of the sun, the 6, 7 colors of the rainbow, the 6 tastes of life, then those phytochemicals have the highest value of micronutrients, which have all kinds of things, antioxidants, anti-carcinogens, anti-inflammatory things.
We're talking mostly fruit and vegetable, or also grain?
Mostly plant-based diets, but not grain these days.
Right,
You know about
exactly.
grain, right? The third is there are now a lot of body of research on nutritional supplements, and these are usually what are called adaptogens. So all the different berries in the world, blackberry, blueberry, cranberry, strawberry, gooseberry, raspberry, they all have very high concentrations of anti-aging chemicals. Spices have that too. So turmeric, ginger, garlic, jalapenos, mustard, these things have anti-inflammatory properties. And so nutritional supplements are actually called adaptogens these days because they help modulate the effects of stress at the level of cellular biology. And there are lots of these. One of them is amlaki, which is Embolica myrobolum, which is also called Indian gooseberry. It has the highest concentration of natural micronutrients in them. So I mentioned perception, I mentioned nutrition, nutritional supplements. The quality of your sleep, it determines a lot of your biological response to aging, because during sleep is when your brain clears itself of toxins and repairs yourself. In fact, your brain is more active in sleep than it is during waking time. Meditation, of course, is also restful alertness. So there's restful sleep, but then restful alertness at the same time. What else? The experience of love. The more experience of love you have, the more that facilitates self-repair mechanisms. Flexibility not only in the body, as you know, people do yoga practices, and I am very much into it myself. Flexibility in the body, but flexibility in consciousness. Flexibility in consciousness is even more important, because you say, if things are not going your way, you let go of your idea of how they should be, trusting that you don't know the big picture, and everything is as it should be in the universe, otherwise it would malfunction, and it's not malfunctioning. As far as we know, the earth still rotates and goes around the sun, and everything is as it should be in the universe. It should be in your universe too, if you let go. So there's a phrase, infinite flexibility in consciousness is the secret of immortality. What else?
That's a good one right there. We could sit with that one for a while, because my best guess is it's a difficult practice.
It's the easiest thing to let go.
How about that? Okay.
I mean, holding on is like holding on to your breath.
It's just making a choice.
If you hold on to anything, it's like holding on to your breath. You suffocate.
Right.
So why would you want to suffocate?
I don't think people want to, but generally speaking, there do seem to be some habits out
They're
there.
bamboozled by the hypnosis of social conditioning.
Yes.
Right, exactly.
Yes.
Well, let's talk about that, because I think it's the hypnosis of social conditioning that really keeps us from being present and aware, because we have these programs that we get plugged into as children based on how we were raised, and if there were religion and educators and people saying things to us when we're little, and we're like little psychic sponges. You know, all of it goes in as like a computer program in a biocomputer. How can we move past this, since they're subconscious programs? And according to the work of Dr. Bruce Lipton, 95% of our waking state is controlled by the subconscious, and a lot of it is just on automatic.
Well, I think you have to return to the innocence of being a child, or you have to join the motley group of sages, psychotics, and geniuses.
So what practices do you do specifically in terms of, let's say, either like a yoga or meditation? Is there a mantra that you use, or is there something?
We have very specific techniques that we use at our center, and we teach them. The mantras that we use are called primordial sounds. They're based on Vedic astrology, so there are 108 mantras, and they're based on the position of the sun, moon, and stars at the moment of your birth, latitude and longitude. You can feed that information into a computer, and it'll spill out your mantra. Okay, so that's one thing we do, but we also engage in other practices: deep self-reflection, awareness of body, awareness of the internal space of the body, awareness of mental space, which is images, feelings, thoughts, sensations, awareness of relationship, not only personal relationship, but relationship with the ecosystem of life, with the universe. And then there are techniques to transcend, and there are techniques to look at the world beyond the appearance of the world. Because see, this is a desk, it's wood, but it's also a tree. And the tree is also sunshine and earth and water and wind and air and the infinite void. In fact, this is the whole universe right here. So when you can see the universe in the particular and the particular in the universe, then you don't get bamboozled by the superstition of the material world.
As you describe that, it sounds like moment-to-moment awareness rather than a practice that would otherwise be compartmentalized.
Practices are good,
yes,
but in the end you should be living in existence. Yes. And living in existence means living in what is, not what was or what could be. Then you're living in a dream. And most people have their entire lifetime goes by in a dream because they're never present to what is. And when they plan for the future and the future finally manifests, they're not present for it anyway.
So when we're present, is it true that we're in that timeless place?
Yes.
That timelessness. So that's really what you mean
there now.
by time. You're there now. Yes, you always appear to be there to me every time.
Well, hopefully we all are here there now, right?
We're all there, but some don't realize it.
Yeah. Well, most, I think, don't realize it. I think I remember hearing Eckhart Tolle say that we're present. The average person is present 30 seconds out of the day, and that's pretty tiny bit of time. I've been very interested in Bruce Lipton's work for quite some time in epigenetics, and when you were on Piers Morgan's show a month or so ago, you talked about that. And would you share your understanding of epigenetics for us?
Yeah, we have 23,000 genes. The human body has 23,000 genes. And genes are like little words, they're a stretch of DNA that codes for a protein. And yet we have 23,000 genes, but we have hundreds of thousands of gene expressions. These gene expressions, think of genes not as nouns but as verbs. They're not things, they're activities. And the gene expression is influenced by its environment, not only the physical environment, but psychological, emotional environment. So your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, your personal relationships, and everything else that we go through every day. Thoughts, feelings, emotions, desires, sensory experience, sound, touch, sight, taste, and smell, and all of this, eating, breathing, digestion, metabolism, elimination, all of this influences the activity of your genes. So the ideal activity of your genes is that the genes are all working together as networks to create homeostasis, which is balance, a state of dynamic non-change within change. So, your blood sugar remains certain range, your hormone levels certain range. It's like a thermostat that keeps your body temperature, but everything else within a certain range. That's how you want your genes to operate. When you're connected with the world, when you feel love, compassion, joy, equanimity, empathy, then that state of being connected triggers the gene expression that creates balance or homeostasis. When you're not, when you feel hostility, anger, guilt, depression, shame, then you're separated from the ecosystem of life. And your body's an ecosystem, and your genes are an ecosystem. That disrupts homeostasis and causes inflammation in the body. And inflammation directly or indirectly influences every other illness. So epigenetics is just how to turn on the good genes and turn off the bad genes. Dial them up and dial them down.
So we can't use our genetics as an excuse for because we're mutable, we're not fixed.
5% of disease-related gene mutations. 5% of disease-related gene mutations are fully penetrant, which means you can't stop them. Like somebody has Down syndrome or particular type of leukemia, but it's only 5%. The rest are epigenetically influenced.
Right, so we can change them with our thoughts and our beliefs. Yeah, amazing. Wow. So, if it would seem then logical that if we can change our beliefs about who we are and how we're made up, and if we can change our beliefs, then we can change our cells. If we change our cells, then we have a whole new conversation about aging. Correct?
Correct.
So we can actually shift our aging process physiologically. Chronologically, we're going to go on, right? But it's like, again, the numbers become different markers.
Correct.
So we can actually retard the aging process.
Reverse it
and
up to a
reverse
point.
it.
But you must recognize that ultimately impermanence is a fundamental activity of existence. The more permanent it is, the more fossilized it is, the less alive it is. So plastic flower is more permanent than a real one, but the real one is life. It's attractive, it's beautiful. And it is through death that nature recreates herself. So our body is always dying to recreate itself. Your stomach cells die every 5 days, your skin once a month, etc. The failure of a cell to die is cancer. Cancer is a cell that doesn't know how to die. Okay, so it's on a personal quest for immortality. And it ends up destroying the rest of the body, and then it dies because it depends on the rest of the body to be alive.
So it finally gets its way.
It finally gets its way, but at a very high price, right? So what is healing is the return of the memory of wholeness, that we are not these skin-encapsulated egos. We are part of the wholeness of the universe, and in that wholeness, death and resurrection are built in as expressions of creativity. Creativity is dying to the past and creating something new. Creativity is a new context, a new meaning, new relationship, using the same, you might say, karmic software, same information, but creating a new meaning. That's what every creative act is, a death and a resurrection. We're doing that every day. If we did not know how to die, we would be fossilized mummies in a museum. So you don't want to be that. Death is the ultimate creative act. And so we should look forward to death every day in the sense that we die to yesterday and we are born again right now. That's the true meaning of born again, you know. And that's the true meaning of the resurrection too. The resurrection is creative evolution. And what we call physical death is a quantum leap in creativity.
So physical death then is really inevitable. Would you say
I
it's
would
inevitable?
hope so, otherwise we'd be doomed to eternal senility.
Yeah.
One of my favorite statements that you've made, and I say it often, is that die to every moment and discover the gate to unending life. And I think that's
true.
what you're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah. But I remember also in one of your books, and I think that as preparing for this show, there was a term that you used called physiological immortality. Or am I mistaken?
Now, I've used the word ageless body, timeless mind.
Yes.
But the timeless mind is the mind of the universe, and the ageless body is the body of the universe, and that's who you are. You're not, this skin-encapsulated ego dragging a bag of flesh and bones. And I think people who hunger for physiological immortality don't realize that there's no such thing as a fixed identity. You had the body of a baby at one time, that's dead. You had the body of a teenager at one time, that's dead. And your body today is not what it was yesterday, and won't be the same tomorrow. So death and rebirth are built into the mechanics of the universe as a mechanism for creative evolution. And as I said, that's why people who want physical immortality, they don't really know what they're talking about. Or when they say,
maybe it's just fear of the unknown of what death could possibly mean.
Yeah, but also, when they say, oh, I'm going to die and go to heaven and meet my other, loved ones, who are they talking about? The child, the baby, the old man with Alzheimer's? Who are they talking about? If you realize that there's no such thing as a fixed, permanent identity, that you're an evolving consciousness, which is part of the consciousness of the universe, then you're in flow. That's true immortality.
So how does reincarnation figure into this?
You're reincarnating right now. This body is the reincarnation of yesterday's body.
In every moment. Then.
In every moment. What reincarnates is memory. And where is the memory stored? It's in the non-local quantum field of possibilities. It's not in your brain. Your brain downloads your memories, and then, those memories and everything get memories, desires, karma, experiences. They project as this body, mind, and this universe.
So Deepak, what do you do in the rare moment where you may actually find yourself either worried about something that hasn't yet occurred, or possibly something from the past?
That's an experience I've never had.
Really?
No, for a long time. I mean, maybe when I was 14 and looking at a girl, but not since then.
Wow.
And that's the product of being fully aware of the framework that you discussed earlier.
Correct. And part of my family tradition.
So meditation has a huge role for the average person, right? And there's been a lot of studies done on meditation over the years, going back to TM and all the rest. But there are some recent studies I understand at Stanford University about meditation and how it affects our body and our overall
There's
health.
a lot of research coming out.
Can you give us the highlights of that?
Yeah, meditation, first of all, on a big level, on the gross level, changes blood pressure, body temperature regulation is more efficient, metabolism is more efficient, the biological markers of aging are reversed. But now the cellular biologists are telling us that telomeres increase in length, the telomerase goes up, that every gene expression is influenced by meditation in the direction of balance or homeostasis. So meditation is definitely becoming mainstream and becoming accepted as the best way to restore your body to its most you might say, efficient state of functioning, self-repair, self-regulation. These are essential properties of consciousness.
And you say in one of the pieces I heard that a half an hour in the morning and a half an hour in the evening. But my sense with you is that you're in a continual state of meditation. Is that true?
But I do take formal time every day.
You do take formal time as well?
I do take formal time.
How much time do you take?
2 hours at least every day.
At one sitting, or?
Usually in the morning at one sitting, and if I have time in the evening for another 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So do you find through your meditative practice that you have less need for regular sleep?
I have less need, but my sleep is very efficient too. I mean, you cannot replace sleep with meditation, nor should you replace meditation with sleep. Sleep is a very fundamental way for your body to restore itself. People don't realize in our society, that sleep is disturbed with alcohol, with drugs, with sedatives, with tranquilizers. That's not real sleep. Real sleep, when you wake up, you should be ready to jump across the universe.
And 8 hours is what you recommend?
Anywhere from 6 to 8 hours.
6 to 8 hours, oh, that's good. I'd like to ask a question about hormones. Hormones seem to be so prevalent today, and particularly with us baby boomers. And what is your opinion of hormones, biomimetic hormones I'm talking about here, for men as well as women in really helping to maintain youthfulness?
There are certain plant-based hormones that occasionally we use at our center, and they're derived from things like plant estrogens like asparagus root, etc., which we use at times for regulating especially hormone deficiency in women as they get older. By and large, I believe that your body is doing the right thing in the right season. So the less you interfere with that, the best.
So you would recommend not being on hormones?
Generally speaking,
Generally
yes.
speaking.
Unless there's some very obvious malfunction as a result of a missing hormone, like thyroid hormone or severe estrogen deficiency.
What about sexuality and an active sexual life?
Healthy people maintain active sexual life, and the older they get, the better it is because they take their time. Right?
Yeah, beautiful. Fewer distractions. So I just wanted to, I know we'll be wrapping up shortly, but I think people want to know a little bit about your personal life as well. So aside from meditation, is there
I'm not a person, so how can I have a personal life?
Everyone's going to be so disappointed. They're really hoping for you to be a person.
If you think of yourself as person, you'll see people everywhere. But if you think of yourself as spirit, you'll see God everywhere.
So how does the God within you like to enjoy spending its time roaming around in this dimension, just from a hobby standpoint? Do you have any?
Well, this summer we are going to Tanzania and Kenya to spend some time in the safaris with animals and lions and nature. I like to ski when I can. I used to scuba dive a lot. I take time off every 4 months to go into the wilderness. So, do
you go alone when you go?
Sometimes, and sometimes with other people.
So even with your...
I'm happy being alone, by the way.
Yeah, I bet you are. Well, you're around people a lot. You're very busy, aren't you?
Yeah, and there's too much drama around us. I don't.
Yeah, I know, a little more comedy would be good.
Don't relate to it.
One of my favorite expressions that I've heard you say is secular spirituality. No, I mean, to me, it really helps to differentiate. Sometimes people will think if you're in this conversation, you're talking about religion, but it's not really about religion. So will you define secular spirituality for us?
In most religions, God is a deity out there, and usually a guy, and usually portrayed with a beard and blonde hair,
sitting on a
blue
throne.
eyes. Even when people think of Jesus, they think he came from Manhattan or something like that. So the deity is a human projection. It's an imagination. what is consciousness is that realm of awareness that creates both the experience of the deity in imagination and the universe in imagination. They're all products of our consciousness. Consciousness is the only real thing. And so once you understand that reality is the ground of being and you are that, then you don't have to believe in a deity because you realize that actually you are God in drag.
So you need to tell that to Bill Maher.
So that is that really is the ultimate pearl of wisdom that you have to offer.
Well, Rumi's poem, you're not just a drop in the ocean, you're the ocean in the drop.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Beautiful.
That's great.
Well, Deepak, thank you so much for joining us. It is such an honor and a privilege to have you share all this wisdom with us.
Thank you.
Yes,
wonderful
really.
to be
It's
with
been
you.
wonderful to have you here. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Okay, so now we're ready for Stu's views for our bright, brilliant guy over here to share a story about his grandmother, I understand.
Yes, this is true. Okay. Yeah, we're going to bring Grandma into Stu's views. She's the only one who ever got away calling me Stewie. She lived to the ripe old age of exactly 100 years and 3 months. God bless her. And I remember sometime when she was in her 90s, I asked her, Grandma, you know, how are you doing this? She was lucid. She was like the Jewish version of Granny from the Beverly Hillbillies, you know, kind of telling everybody what's so and everything else, and lucid with a great sense of humor. And so I said, Grandma, you know, how are you able to be so alert and in your 90s? She said, every day is my birthday. Every day is my birthday. Grandma, what are you, like 35,000? And she says, you know what? Stewie, it's a great gift just to wake up in the morning. And you know, I started thinking about it. And I started thinking about, can there possibly be a greater gift than to be in this dimension for a limited time only? Maybe there is, but I'm not aware of it. And as Deepak mentioned earlier, about being born again and again and again, which means dying to yesterday and dying to the last moment and the last second, and just being able to be present with that and have this, also as Deepak mentioned, this sense of awareness that we are not limited to these little, as he called them, what, skin suits or ego-encapsulated skin and meat suits or whatever these are, that we are so much more than that. And it is truly a great blessing. And Grandma, God bless her, she gave me the corollary. And Stewie, don't outlive your body. Because God bless her, you know, she couldn't quite get around as much as she would have liked and kicked up her heels. All of her friends passed away before, you know, and even the 80-year-olds were too old for her when she was 100, you know, because she was raring to go and everything else. And so this really is the Stu's views for today, is really to see what we can do about treating every day as our birthday, and that whatever we call this life of ours, and whatever we call this consciousness of ours, whatever we call this world of ours, even with all of the craziness, and my grandma would call it the mishigas, you know, and fakakta, you know, and all these great terms that describe all these kind of strange, upside-down thoughts and beliefs. That it's still so amazing and so incredible. And I can see Grandma's eyes right now, because I must have said goodbye to her half a dozen times, not knowing if I would ever see her again, because there comes a certain point where you feel like every time may be the last. You know, I just noticed how much I love that woman. So when I looked into her eyes, and we just had this recognition that being in each other's lives is really what made this whole world so beautiful and so amazing. But that's something that I wanted to share with you, and that maybe your life is amazing too.
Thank you, Stu. Wow. Thank you. Beautiful. Wow, well, this has been a remarkable show, and I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I've enjoyed it, and I think we've enjoyed it. So today I'm going to close with 2 quotes. And the first comes from another one of my favorite teachers, and I mentioned him earlier, Dr. Bruce Lipton, who, like Deepak Chopra, is an internationally recognized leader in emerging science and spirituality. He's the author of several books. The best-known book is The Biology of Belief, and I highly recommend it, especially to substantiate our conversation today with Deepak. He is a cellular biologist, and he is known for an experiment where he proved that our cells are not genetically predetermined, but that they're actually determined by the environment. And I want to take a moment, my time today, to share the experiment with you. It was in 1967, and he was involved in cloning stem cells when it was just beginning to get popular in the scientific community. And in this particular experiment, he had genetically identical cells that he divided up into 3 separate petri dishes. A had bone cells, B had muscle cells, and C had fat cells. And to his total surprise, the cells actually changed to fit the environment in the dishes. And he concluded then that our cells are not genetically predetermined, but that they're determined by the environment. And I heard him say that when this occurred, his eyes filled up with tears, and he had what he could only describe as a heart orgasm. And he went from being an agnostic to a card-carrying mystic overnight. So the quote that I'd like to share with you is this. He says, "You are personally responsible for everything in your life once you are aware that you are personally responsible for everything in your life." So my question to you today is, ask yourself, are you aware enough yet to be cause in your life for creating a fabulous life? What about all those beliefs, all those dreams and visions and goals that you have, perhaps some that you've never even thought you could achieve? It's only really a matter of a choice. And so I'm going to close the show today with another wonderful quote, and this is from Deepak Chopra. And he says, "The most creative act you will ever undertake is the act of creating yourself." And so I think it's an appropriate parting phrase.
Why don't you repeat it again? It sounded so good.
Okay. The most creative act you will ever undertake is the act of creating yourself. Right.
Well, you're creating yourself rather well, young one.
Oh.
May I say.
Thank you.
You're doing beautifully. And it looks like we all are in our own way here. And it's incredible.
So thank you so much, Dr. Deepak Chopra.
Let's go for it.
Okay.
Till next time.
Get conscious now.
Welcome to State and Fig, located in historic La Arcata Plaza in downtown Santa Barbara.
Our menu focuses on products that are raised in the state of California, inspired by the flavors of the Riviera.
And we are proud to be sponsoring this program.
Hello, I'm Twyla Kim. I've been an artist and hairstylist in Santa Barbara for 20 years. I personalize color, design, and precision haircuts for each individual at Sequel Salon in Montecito. I'm happy to be sponsoring Get Conscious Now.
I'm attorney Gregory Lowe. I will prepare your trust, bankruptcy, divorce, conservatorship, probate, evictions. All of this I can do at an affordable price and with caring. Thank you very much.
When I was growing up as a kid, I used to go around with him and watch him.
My mother and I both worked at Lowry Field.
To keep on doing this together.